and Fnatic guarantee themselves a space in the top 4, whereas for Guts, they need all 3 points today to give themselves a good shot at making it there.
Oh, Guts are going to come out all guns blazing. There's no two ways about that. They're going to bring absolutely everything here to give themselves the best opportunity they can going forward. Do I think it'll be enough? I'm not too sure. Fnatic have been very good so far throughout this stage. It's certainly been a bit of a resurgence for them. It's been something we've been waiting for. I don't know if that's maybe the reintroduction of Mentalist has just taken them back to that stability. It's that's absolutely, I want to be very clear, that is absolutely no comment on Alfama whatsoever. He had some great performances when he came in, but obviously it was just much newer as a roster and there was work to be done. It's trying to fit in and change, whereas Mentalist is like the old setup that they've had.
Really reminds me of? It really reminds you when a football club brings in like a new manager and they've just kind of taken 2 or 3 tail end signings or changes the old manager has made, and everyone goes, wow, they're amazing, look at what they're doing. And the old manager sat there like, but I worked on this.
Yeah.
I made this happen. I'm not at all saying that Mentalist is the new manager who's riding off the coattails of the success of Alfama. Last stage was very much a building stage for Fnatic. And we spoke to them, to go and DM and say, what is going on? Because you boys look so much better than last year. And they said, Alfama's brought some of that NA style and structure to the team. And I agreed. I was like, they look like the TSM of the region in terms of how they attack. It's very coordinated. They rarely look puzzled or held up by opposition teams. Sure, there are some things to work on. They lost 8-6 to Cyclops back in the first week. So it's not like they are invincible, but they are a much stronger and better team. And I have no doubt when Alfama comes back, they may yet look even stronger. But bans have rattled through. Nothing surprising at all their ace. Valkyrie and Nomad, we talk about it on this map all the time. The Mozzie often a target ban, but also a very popular pairing with the Mute these days. So that ban rate is slowly starting to creep up, and Thatcher is going to surprise absolutely no one.
6 pick goes out to Aruni. Now then, that is an interesting one. It's certainly worth a note of discussion there. There's Lily dropping the Echo and bringing along the Aruni. Now, we are up on the top floor. Echo not always necessarily at the absolute strongest up here, but we have seen good uses of it. I come back to that G2 one in stage 1. We'll talk about it time and time again. You open the hatch, you drop the Yokai drone up and through the hatch from Piano. It was very successful. No, it's not something you can get away with all the time, but an interesting switch, I think, at the least. If we do get into a late round situation and Guts are struggling to contain Fnatic, especially on a plant attempt, you're going to be looking back to that 6th pick and thinking, could the Echo have done a little bit more?
I mean, we've seen exactly how many Echoes have ruined rounds, not just here in APAC or just in EUL, but even recent tournaments and, of course, the last stage. Cafe Kitchen, always the one that we hark back to as the greatest example of the damage that it can do. Even with the drones, of course, now being visible as they have been for about half a year, it's still incredibly impactful and used in much more of an active droning scenario as we love talking about. Let's though see what Fnatic employ in this round. They have got the Zero on side. Quite a Cloud9 style here. They're the team who have been employing Zero for the most part in APAC North, and apparently Fnatic are now turning their hands to it. The Capital, probably my favourite operator in the game in terms of what he can do in a round. Got smokes to assist with the plant, firebolts to make defenders move, semi-decent guns. A 3-speed brings a lot to a lineup on a map like this. When you need a couple of claymores in case there are jump outs or run outs, he's just a perfect fit into any lineup.
There goes the first fire arrow, but it will be unsuccessful as JJ has got himself perched up on top
Floor is lava.
of the toilet there, and he's just keeping himself away from danger. Rips the nitro. What a kill from Yura. That is a Pinot special, let me tell you, Des. That's one of his favourites. Get led prone underneath the window and take the tight angle onto the challenge for the repelling operator, and he hits it wonderfully. Yura starting things out, and then Guts, they double down and get themselves a second. 5 versus 3 very quickly here. Or within the first minute, in fact, of round number 1. A great start for Guts.
Fantastic active defense is what I'd describe it as. Being willing to press up against the window, take a gunfight, C4 aggressively onto the window itself to collect those opening 2 kills and shut down 2 crucial members of Fnatic is absolutely huge. Not least because, of course, you're taking away the Zofia and all the utility she had in back pocket. Another firebolt coming out as they now go for the repel in. Mam's a little bit closer, but gets to spray across his head, and down goes JJ. That'll be their first kill in the round. It's still a 4 versus 2 for Guts, but at least now Fnatic have finally got some kind of headway inside the building.
Got themselves established, but Mentalist doesn't have many hit points, and it would only have taken likely one of those bullets from the Vigil underneath to make its way through to the right spot, and that would have been the round done for another Fnatic player. But 2 versus 4, a minute on the clock. If they can find themselves a kill or two in the next 30 seconds, then you start thinking it's doable. But Mentalist overextends. Thinks that there's nobody inside a connector, but there is. Merio finding the kill out there into the bathroom, leaving Tex to suck up a lungful of that toxic babe canister. Great headshot onto Yura to find the kill on the Vigil, but still 1 versus 3. 40 seconds to go. Diffuser not in hand. Bit of a nightmare here for Tex on the Capitao.
He has got 30 seconds to play with, and I think he's nervous about where the last couple of members are, especially that smoke. Gets at least some insight here to be able to step himself up quite comfortably to the top of yellow, but now needs to win a couple of gunfights. One behind the shield, one connector, one off down the hallway. Either way you look at it, it is rough, and he's going to inhale that toxic gas. Light collecting the closing kill, and Fnatic, after being stopped by Guts in the early round, unable to take the first.
Great start from the Japanese team there to put the first round on the board. It's the strength that they needed to come in with. A good defense of the top floor is going to allow them to move down to the first floor. Now it's going to be lobby and press room for their second site. And the good thing for Guts here is, as we've said before, it's pretty much a rinse and repeat of that top floor hold. They're going to have people in similar locations. They'll no doubt have somebody playing in connector, possibly console office, somebody in meeting, and they're going to try to hold on to that top floor for as long as possible. And we spoke about this on the last EUL player day, the way that it takes teams so long to get control fully of that top floor, and even then it never really seems to be quite within their grasp completely, because there's always that threat of the flank up yellow stairs, because to cover out the entire top floor, you've got spiral stairs, Visa stairs, you've got yellow stairs. It just really stretches your forces thin if you're also wanting to then push onto site.
Zero making an appearance once again for Mentalist. No big surprise, a number of teams will often, and I remember again speaking about this in NAL for a short while, they'll often have a Zero push a little bit solo, and especially on maps like Shelly, now that I think about it, you'll use them to cover a whole side of the map with those Zero cameras, with the SAM cams, as the NAL desk have taken to calling them, and using them to watch the flank angles for you later into the round. So dead members can, of course, sit and watch on those SAM cams and can feed information back and forth, so it can be very, very impactful in the right moment. So whether you want to use them more aggressively with the active to try and destroy utility, or use them for information, it's entirely your call, but teams lately are definitely, I'd say, leaning towards using it more for the information, the flank watch, that sort of thing. So in place of a Nomad in some cases, and when she's banned away, perfect.
Absolutely that, and we'll keep an eye and we'll see exactly where those SAM cams get placed out, if we can do along the way, and give an idea of just how exactly they are being used. Now, we're having a little bit of direct approach here from Stigs onto the sort of antechamber and piano area, which is interesting. For initially, it's going to stop too many rotations around inside of site. The primary focus, of course, is still going to be on the top floor, though. We've got the Zero there moving up, Mentalist getting himself up onto the rooftop. He's got one of those SAM cams deployed on the spiral stairs, and that's going to be a good location. That gives you an awful lot of information.
Looking up and seeing Jess dancing around with the panel chocolat and croissant in her hand, kicking like the little confetti stuff we've got, is one of the weirdest things I've looked away from the screen to in my life. But she's having a wonderful time, and so are we, as I'm sure are Fnatic. 2 kills in the round, 1 coming inside of Anti, and here they go. The push coming inside a lobby and maybe looking for a plant here. Mag in the default spot behind the bomb, rather than just tucked into the left side of the door. No one above for the side of Guts to stop this one going down. A smoke for good measure, because why not? This one will be connected, and Fnatic have got all 5 alive in a post-plant 5 versus 3. This is one of the rounds that you look at and do not expect Guts to get back. A great push from Fnatic there, getting Mag inside. They had control over meeting, didn't really need to take over too much more of the top floor. That's a little bit of a mistake there for Guts Gaming. They need to be pressuring that area a little bit more, because, as you can see, this is what happens. The diffuser goes down, and right now they've no option but to try and just push out there and get on. Look how far away Tex is playing from there, and he's just going to sit there all day long. Perfectly clear sight. Here comes another one. They like flies to Honey. There's just on the way in, just having to have a look,
and they are going to be caught out. Light will get a kill onto Mentalist, but there's absolutely no attempt to get anywhere near that diffuser. Great push from Fnatic, great post-plant hold. They were ready for that diffuser going down. It's something that we see all too often for the attackers, is getting it down on the ground but not being ready for the 45 seconds that follows. But nope, Fnatic, they had all the angles locked down, nice and easy.
When you think about it as a map, it's one of the worst when it comes to, you know, retake potential. And I know we looked at the stats for this, and there were, what, 32 rounds played, for example, of the basement. There were 2 retakes across all of those.
12 plants.
12 plants, was it overall?
32 rounds.
32 rounds, 12
plants, 2 retakes.
Got it, okay. And generally that's regarded as one of the harder sites to retake, but I'd also wager, you know, that front door is also incredibly tough when it gets down in plain view of, you know, a great deal of the outdoors. You saw then that disgusting angle sat right back through a few plants behind a barricade. You're never going to see that one on a quick first peek outside. So for Fnatic, a good round to get on the board. 1-on-1 now, and we head down to that site we were just discussing a moment ago, into the basement. And that Echo is making an appearance. Finally, Ace, you're getting everything you wish for.
Well, we'll see how it plays out. I mean, much more useful down here in Garage. I say much more useful. Echo's useful pretty much on every site he goes to. But they picked away from him on the top floor. And I would argue if you were going to pick away anywhere, basically don't pick away on Garage. Keep it here for Garage, because we do see some great use of those yokai drones. If the Echo can survive into the late round, as soon as those plant attempts do come in, and it's no surprise following a successful plant last time around that Guts have stuck it this time and said, yeah, we're absolutely going to bring that Echo along.
Can we follow the Arcade for a second, please, Observer? I want to see where he puts down these electro claws as well, the default ones.
It looks like it's going to be default, so you'll get one up into the floor, and then it'll be down to the crouch.
Oh, okay.
No, just going straight up into the floor. Both of them are going to be in piano.
The little grey box on the wall you can do, or the unit just to the left as well,
just to the side as well.
I really like that one, but not many teams seem to do it. I think because they're afraid of it being naded out or something. The other one probably has got the same like propensity to do so. But a couple of teams have been rattled by the fact that it was positioned underneath that thing and they couldn't quite find it. So it's quite an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as Fnatic recognise where these are, they're just going to push their way into piano and basically take them out vertically. You can shoot the soft flooring out and you can find those. You can put nades down. You can use your sledgehammer. There's all sorts of things you can do to clear out those electricals. So this shouldn't pose too much of a problem. I would certainly expect to see Mag getting that triple wall opened up at some point during the round. For the time being, it's information gathering time. They've got the SAM cams in there, just using them to take out default cams as well. So direct information exchange there, Des.
I love this, by the way. We keep on speaking about it, the Echo kind of robot wars that kick off. Because it's at ground level, it can see all the spots where a drone might normally hide. And obviously, as a defender, you play on attack half the time. You'll know where common drone positions are and you can go hunting for them. So another kind of side use that we didn't talk about too much earlier on. But now at the very least, there's more cover on the upstairs for Fnatic. 2 kills have come flying in. 1 onto the Jaeger, 1 onto the Aruni, leaving just to smoke the Kaid and the Echo to defend this one. 1 C4 between them, 3 smoke canisters, and of course those yokai drones. But you've seen so many times this map how different members of Fnatic have jumped onto those cameras coming out from Zero and using them to watch flanks around the map to make sure there's nothing crazy going on, just to support and cover them the whole time.
So for the time being, a good advantage found in the early round for Fnatic here, and it's absolutely no surprise. They've just taken the foot off the gas a little bit, and I can't criticise them for that. It's all about patience. You know, we've got that man advantage that we need. That's like step 1 complete. Let's just take our foot off the gas and think about the objective now. Let's get the information and let's try and play around it. But they didn't get enough information, Des, because they weren't aware of JJ lurking around bathroom and antechamber, and he gets himself a down onto the sledge of Stiggs. The main wall has been opened up, so Stiggs' position in piano not necessarily essential, but the problem is if he is replaced by JJ, who finally manages to get that kill through the soft wall, they need to go in and deal with JJ. He's managed to get himself a second onto Tex, because if he can stay above as the smoke, he's got the shotgun, he can open up the vertical angles to prevent a plant going down. Right now, they can't get anywhere near him, Des. That's 3 for JJ. He's going to get challenged again, but he has scarpered. He's moved himself through the round. Des, he plays mental. It's like a fiddle and finds the kill. Just plays ring around the roses, knows exactly where the man is going. 13 seconds left to go, 2 versus 1. It's all up to Mag. He goes in and tries to get this diffuser down. He does manage to avoid the Toxic Babe canister. He's got a little bit of a bait with the smoke canister, but as you say, surely the yokai, no. Des, it doesn't get used. I'm not sure if there were any left. Mag, he just now has to hold his angle and try to win these 2 fights. 1 versus 2. He turns away at the wrong time, but he gets away with it for now. He's got some red ping information. He finds 1. Can he get the kill? No! Shut down by Light on the Echo. Moves in and will disable the diffuser. It was a close one. Mag almost able to win it out, getting that diffuser down, but JJ, he'd really put in the groundwork there for a good round.
Oh, hadn't he just? Yeah, I mean, for a while it looked like Fnatic had it all laid out. They were in a 5 versus 3. They'd got all the SAM cams set down. They'd done their droning work. They were doing everything they needed to, but JJ was left unchecked. He was sat in meeting, and I think they were worried about him flanking down yellow on the smoke. What they didn't anticipate was him dropping into lobby, flanking through antechamber, and finding that first kill, after which time Fnatic, they did the right thing. They said, we can't ignore the roamer, else he will be shotgunning us from above. We need to retain piano control. They commit 2, 3, 4 members to try and fight him. He takes the head off every single one. A really difficult roamer to deal with in that instance, and a smoke not normally the one that you peg and say, that's going to be our roamer this round. But excellent play by JJ. Basically solo wins the round for Guts.
His movement was spot on. I called it at the time as he moved himself back through round desk and just completely and utterly predicted the movement of Mentalist. He knew that he wasn't going to follow him. He knew that he was going to push back to yellow stairs, and he just picked himself up a nice easy kill as he came in through the single door there. So well played to JJ and a great round from him. Moving in to round 4 now. We're going to be back up onto the top floor. In part, the site itself is going to be archives and tellers, but a lot of the defense once again for Guts Gaming is going to come down to that top floor. That's why we're seeing so much utility being set up there. So we've got the setup here that is basically lining up to try and prevent Fnatic from getting established inside of admin. We've got inside the copy room the reinforcements. We've got the sort of half mirror wall that's been set up. There'll be some peak holes opened up in the soft wall to the side of the reinforcement that's just going to allow that view through onto admin windows and try to keep Fnatic out of there for as long as possible.
Well, let's see if round 4 plays out any differently for the boys. Still seeing the Zero coming along, the Jackal, lots of things stacking up on side for them here. That Frost that we love talking about so much lately, Ace, still making an appearance once more. You've got Lily holding inside of admin, and I remember we cast an Empire game the other day where we were saying, I think it was... Honestly, the days all merged into one. I want to say they were against Kavana, who, you know, constantly looked to challenge them inside of admin. But it was just kind of the go-to take for Empire. They had no fear about it. They didn't mind. They knew that was their go-to standard. Maybe not so much strictly the case for Fnatic, but at least on the side of Guts, the same way we want to contest this, we want to slow them down. The longer we pin them inside of admin, the less time they have to go for the execute, and the likelihood is the more mistakes they'll make, or the more impact our drones will have.
Now, interestingly, instead of playing holes in the soft wall, Meryu is actually playing on a deployable shield inside the double door. So he's sort of just dipping in and out of that room. You can see the rotation that's allowing his movement through. Lily opens up with one onto tech. Styx does trade it back with a nade, but it still leaves Fnatic struggling to get inside of admin. Meryu playing on the shield that I was talking about now, and he's just going to hold that for as long as possible because Fnatic want this top floor. They want admin so that they can get control of visas, and that allows them to push into the teller's site to try and get a diffuser down. They'll basically largely ignore the bottom floor until a point where they're going to get the diffuser down. If they have the manpower, they'll send 1 or 2 down there to try and prevent any vertical denial. But right now, it's all about admin and visa, and right now, it's all about Guts Gaming winning these defensive battles.
Using the sound cams there as a bit of a scouse as well. I was going to say no one was pressuring into copy. They had people on windows out towards the east and the south of admin, but no one on copy. And you want that pressure to stop the player moving between copy, down through break room, up and down, behind the shield, so on and so forth. And Lusty now has managed to, at least with that bit of support coming from that window, step his way forward. I don't know if he knows about the man close to him. He doesn't. Meryu finding the kill onto Lusty and still has support at the top of Visa stairs. Great start for Guts.
Perfect from Meryu there, just playing his life, kept himself in the battle for as long as possible. Styx will get the kill onto Euro, but the problem here, Des, is time. 45 seconds, and Fnatic have only just got themselves established inside of admin. As you can see, there are still defenders inside of tellers, hassling Mentalist there, up through that hatch, making his life difficult. And right now, I struggle to see how Fnatic are going to move quickly enough to get themselves onto site, get control, and get a diffuser down. They don't have the diffuser in hand. That's another issue. Meryu has been down now, so we find ourselves 3 versus 2. 3 versus 1. Guts giving up too many lives. Guts, you had it all there. You'd done the hard yards. You'd kept them out of admin for so long, and then they were just taking those challenges in and around round desk when maybe the option was there to fall back to site a little bit, get themselves back down to archives and just look for that vertical denial for the final 30 seconds.
I think what really pains me there is so we were speaking about our kind of manager analogies earlier on with Alfama and Mentalist and so on. Got another one for you. That is a Manchester United stealing goal in the 93rd minute to win the game 1-0 and take all 3 points. Those are the kind of rounds that you look at and go, yeah, it's in the bag. It's ending in Guts' favour. They've wasted 2 minutes and 15 seconds in admin. Fnatic, as you called out, rightly so, have not got enough time to get themselves in spot, to go for an execute, to collect the final kills, and then click of the fingers, 3 kills fly their way, job's done. It's one of those that Guts will look back on and say, man, how could we not hold off just a little bit longer there? That's going to kick him in the teeth a bit. But alas, Fnatic taking round 4 bring us up to 2-2. We'll see how round 5 plays out.
For me, I think it's just about sort of tempering aggression at the right time. So I'd sort of commended Guts' defence initially, the way that Merriu had played it and stayed up there quite aggressively, got his kill into copy room, and it brought it to a 3 versus 3 when Euro was killed on the stairs. But up to that point, it was all good. It was the aggression was fine. But then they just sort of tried to keep it there for too long. They had 2 men playing around Spiral Stairs and Tellers, and it just made life a little bit difficult for them because they exposed themselves to the sort of frantic rushes and pushes of Fnatic as they tried to get that round closed out in the last 25 seconds. So Guts, not necessarily done anything wrong, just maybe left themselves a little bit exposed.
I also have no doubt as well. Someone in chat is asking, why are casters ignoring the sound? We know the sound's not working. It will get addressed. Our observers are magicians and always find a magic way to get it restored at some point. And if not, we'll sort ourselves out after a round or 2. For now, though, let's focus on how the round sets up. At least on the attacking side, it's going to be very similar. Again, with the Zero setting up all the flank work for them. This time around with the Lion side, so a change to what we've seen in former rounds, where we've seen the Capitao, for example. Tex being the real flex player on this team, the one that brings all kinds of varied operators along to the lineup as and when they need them.
Just going to open up those console windows to begin with. Immediate pressure applied then onto site. We're inside the first 40 seconds here, and Light, he's holding himself very aggressively there, and it seems to be becoming a character. It seems to be becoming a characteristic of this Guts defense to get aggressive, get right up in the faces. We've got the smoke playing right on console window. We've got the vigil. We've got the soundbite. We've got the vigil playing onto the bench windows. We've got everything we could ask for here, Des.
We just get medics going, hello, iFix. Medic's the repairman. That's the interesting one. It is kind of the cause of a drone being killed as you transition off. I think the way to fix it is to catch a drone being killed. So kudos to Medics for finding the very specific moment that a drone was shot on screen.
Indeed that. So Merriu, he's up there once again in his same position, just looking to play in and around those vending machines at the top of stairs. Double door into admin, try and just put them off the push for the time being. Fnatic 1 minute 30 through the round and still not boots on the ground inside of the map yet. We haven't really had any challenges other than that early one from Yura on the bench's window. JJ pre-places a Nitro. He doesn't want to pull the trigger on that one just yet because he won't be successful. But as Lusty moves in, now is the time, JJ, now is the time, but he's not aware and he's not going to pull the trigger on that one just yet. They just need that information. JJ gets himself up to the top as he settles down. Will he go for it? Yes, he will. He was just waiting to take his position. Wonderful play from JJ there. Got a little bit lucky that Lusty wasn't any more aggressive than that, but still, the job is done. JJ gets one onto Stigs and is traded out immediately by Tex, but that leaves us Guts game in 4 versus 3 in the final 45 seconds.
It's one of them ones where you just know you're waiting for someone to pull the trigger, but they spend 10, 15 seconds because they aren't certain. And fair enough, I'd rather they wait and guarantee it's going to net a kill rather than just thinking, well, maybe someone's there now, pull the trigger, no one dies. But at least good stuff to find out the man early on. Fnatic once again, and I'll note this because the same as the last round, are down 2 members. They've been in this spot multiple times throughout this fixture and have still pulled back 2 rounds. Don't count them out just yet, but for Guts, they're also looking to right the wrongs of the previous round and make sure this one goes their way on the scoreboard, especially with 10 seconds left.
They've got to make the push now. In goes Mentalist. Tex is pushing forward as well. He's got Diffuser in hand. That's the round done. The Diffuser's down cold. It's 1 versus 2. Mentalist has no option but to find 2 kills in 3 seconds. He goes for it, but it's going to be Merriu to shut him down. And Merriu's having a big game today. He's had some really important moments inside of this one, and he is helping Guts Gaming along. in romping fashion at the minute to 3-2 on the scoreboard. And if Fnatic aren't careful, this one could start to run away from them.
It's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, where round 1 was the way of Guts, round 2 Fnatic, round 3 Guts, round 4 Fnatic, round 5 Guts. So if we're following that trend, this one should be the kind of round that we see Fnatic walking away with as we head into the split site. Tellers and Archive split across the basement and the first floor. Bit of an uncommon setup that you often see, or don't often really see inside a Siege, but at least here it applies. Now, most teams defending this will play with C4s from below. They'll normally have something like a mirror helping them set up in the basement to make sure they can't be easily contested down blue, for example. To keep a close eye on the C4 wielding operators on the side of Guts. They've also got themselves 2 bulletproofs on side A's, which to me just screams we want that for the information game here, to feed information on when those C4s need to come out so we can guarantee a kill.
I mean, looking at the comparison to last time, Guts played the first half of this site, or even the first 2 minutes of this site, very, very well. They were very aggressive, up in the faces of Fnatic, not allowing them to even step foot inside of admin without being challenged. It looks like we've got a similar setup coming through. The only thing missing at the minute is the deployable shield that was played on the double door that Meryu used so well to continue that pressure. I'd be interested to see whether that is actually placed or not, because it was an important one. The Wamai doesn't have access to the shield, so given that there wasn't one there initially at that point, is Goyo? No, Light's not going to put one there either. So interesting battle to watch to see exactly how they deal with the admin this time, because that was an important part of it. There was the combination of Lily up there as well that just made it difficult for Fnatic. They were able to work their way in through Piano. It was ultimately that allowed them to get the push in towards Tellers to get the final kills, but a great opener. Lily, once again, he did exactly the same last time around. Nitro onto Tex. That's going to find the kill, and that's an early advantage for Guts.
Yeah, I mean, it keeps on happening across these rounds where it's Guts starting off strong and Fnatic always seem to battle their way back in, or not always, but at least in a couple of them where it felt like Guts were in a more favourable situation. That drone hole, by the way, I remember Patball got a kill through it a few weeks ago in EUL. Just lined it up perfectly. Someone was there waiting inside of blue, gets the biggest freebie of his life. But here it's the grenade coming through to connect onto the Goyo shield that was holding blue in places where you might normally see a mirror being set up. Now that they're down a number, on no doubt on Fnatic's side, they'll be thinking, okay, well, we've got to keep the pace up here, boys. We can't have last round happen again when we fall down to the final 15 seconds and see ourselves getting choked out. And sure enough, it's going to be yet another admin take. So Guts know that Fnatic really want to focus on pushing this.
Lily still established inside of admin. He'd been moved a lot sooner than this last time around. Meryu's taken quite a lot of damage. Last time it was a nade from Stigs, I think, that dealt with Lily. This time he's managed to avoid it. There is magnets in there, potentially ADSs as well. What a shot from Lily! Headshot to rip Stigs off the rappel, having absolutely none of it.
Absolutely none indeed. 5-3, and again, it feels like I've said that probably 4 times this half. Fnatic are down 2. Guts still at full strength. Time is dwindling. It's become a recurring theme throughout. Let's not forget again what we're playing for here. Fnatic only need 1 point to guarantee their spot in the top 4. But here, Guts are putting up one hell of a fight. It was a 5 versus 1 until Mentalist steps up and finds something. But he knows that he's got all the work to do. Again, no diffuser. 4 enemies stand in his way. He's had one hell of a season. But something tells me that even he can't pull this off. Guts have got to be commended for a fantastic defensive half here. Really making the side of Fnatic sweat, and now we get to see what they can do on the attack.
They're going to have to do something, Des, because, and by that I mean Fnatic, they're going to have to do something coming out here because the attack hasn't been successful for them. They're going to have to try and turn it around on the defence, but at the minute, they're just losing gunfights, and that's a big problem for them. Guts have just outmanoeuvred them and outplayed them. They haven't been able to disrupt the Guts defence to any sort of meaningful level, because that last round, perfect example, Lily gets the opening kill from admin and nearly a minute later is still in the same position to get himself another kill and beating somebody on an upside down rappel. It's the sort of gunfights that you can't be losing if you want to be successful on Consulate particularly. So Fnatic, they're going to flip things around, get themselves on the defence and just see if they can steady the ship here.
Yeah, I think a bit of balance is sorely needed. Onto the side of Guts, looking at their lineup here. No Zero, of course, coming into play, but we are going to see the Lions stick at least for this first round. Maybe it proceeds into the second, third, and beyond. Heaven knows. On the side of Fnatic, we are seeing that pick that I thought that we'd see a little more often. It's going to be the mirror coming out here for Mentalist. Very keen to see if that follows them up to, say, a top floor defense when they want to try and keep Guts at bay inside of admin, akin to what Guts were doing with shields back in the first half. Small stylistic change can often have a big impact. But for me, it's going to be how the early round plays out. Are Guts going to be the ones going aggressive and getting early entries onto Fnatic still? Or was that just something that they've really benefited from on the defensive side, and now you're going to start seeing Fnatic taking control of the early rounds?
So we've not got too much of a presence up on the top floor. Tex has just joined Lusty, so there is two up there for the time being. Hatch opened, ready to drop. I'd be interested to see if that remains the case. It looks like Lusty's maybe heading back down to Visa. I'm not sure just how tightly Fnatic are going to try and hold on to that top floor, but they certainly will be trying to keep hold of the middle floor as Mentalist sets up that mirror into Piano. It's one that I always like to see, the really showing the hand there and just how much importance they place on Piano and that vertical control. Now, as the drone comes in, Mag will take it out. There's ADSs there, so this is signalling from Fnatic that they are desperately trying to keep that garage door closed for as long as possible, but we can see how easy it is. Simple as that. Ash charge from Piano onto the floor in the right spot. The electrical is taken out by the explosion and the garage is open.
And the Ashe barely having to expose herself either. However, Mag's the one who steps up first and brings down the superhero of the first half in JJ, who was sat on his 8 kills. 2 kills swinging back the way of Guts, mind you. So despite the pretty good start coming out from Mag, he's now been cleared out by Meryu. Mentalist, the one currently trying to hold inside a key position. That Ashe that was on the window earlier on clearly has moved away as Meryu's now in a pretty powerful position. And if not careful, could just hold this spot here and really give them a headache on the pushing for the plant.
Tex and Mag cleared out then. That's one of the roamers gone in Tex, likely to force Lusty back in towards site. Now then, Meryu, he's in a position to start getting that diffuser down, but he's taken out by Mentalist as Stiggs also gets Lily. 2 headshots there. Light gets aggressive. The man on boxers still manages to keep his life and continue fighting. Lusty finds Yura, and this one is going in the direction of Fnatic. Diffusers down, Toxic Babe canisters out. There is plenty of time for Light here. If he wants to go completely back to the drawing board, he can do and just really come in with something different. But the problem that he's got is there's only 2 in sight. He's got one above him vertically in the mirror of Mentalist, and that's going to prevent him necessarily from pushing from elsewhere. He maybe needs to go and get him cleared out first. He will get spotted out here, surely. Mentalist, it's an easy kill there. 1 + 2 = 3 Des, as you see there in the mirror. Out he pops, gets the kill. It doesn't come much easier than that.
It absolutely does not. Yeah, it's one of them ones where I think with Guts, you found that kill onto Mag inside a garage and thought, oh, okay, plant time. But the big issue being, as we saw, Mentalist went and took control of Piano. They had that cover from above, so it was another headache for Guts to worry about because the Ashe had dropped away from the window and instead went to go and support on the push inside the garage itself. Probably would have been better for her to stay inside of Piano and look to support from above. But hey, that's how these things play out sometimes. Next round we step into then round number 8. You see the pulse coming out from Mag here. Going to be inside a lobby and press. I thought we may be heading into Tellers and Archives there once I saw that pick come out. But I guess with the limited number of C4s here, likely just the one, it makes sense.
So, Mag, where are you going to play that pulse? I would expect to see it probably underneath. We've seen the hatches getting opened already. We can see the central hatch there. Both of them, in fact, have been opened. So, as you said, there's Nitros. Not only useful on the vertical here to take out any top floor control that might be put in place by Guts on the attack, but also useful if played from underneath, especially with that heartbeat scanner. Mag will very easily pick up on anybody moving in and becoming static, trying to get that diffuser down. And there are a number of angles using those 2 hatches that have been opened up inside of the main lobby to toss Nitros from underneath and get them into those plant spots. So it may be something that we see attempted later on in the round. But the immediate battle is going to be for that top floor. Much as we saw from Guts when they were on the defense, they gave that up a little bit easy. They didn't make a challenge of it once they'd been forced out of meeting, and we saw the diffuser go down very, very quickly. So Fnatic, I'm sure they will know that they need to keep hold of that. With all possibilities.
Light will be kicking himself there. He just saw the man. I don't think he quite registered what was in front of his face when he just saw the whole available window covered in black. Didn't realise it was a body. So maybe it was something else instead. You're on the Flores, by the way, quietly curious about this. We saw on the attacking side for Fnatic, they really like the 0. We've seen Flores be stupidly effective. JJ taken off the board, already removing the hard breacher for the side of Guts. But again, Flores want to keep a close eye on how he uses those boom bots. All 4 are still in back pocket. You can use them to force defenders to move, to clear out barbed wire, destroy other kinds of utility, maybe get kills. So much you can do with it, very versatile. Need to see it used.
So we've still got Mag playing underneath for the time being. He's certainly still of use to his team down there. The heartbeat scanner will work up to the second floor, so he's going to be providing plenty of information for them. In comes the first Flores drone. The Rotero drone will take out that Banshee and just allow some freedom of movement across the top floor if necessary. And right now, Guts do need to get moving across that top floor. Lily's been downed, I think, playing outside of the main door, which is certainly not ideal. That is exactly where. Been picked up from a window, no doubt. And it's going to be very difficult for anybody to attempt a pickup because it could, of course, be dangerous. It is a good shot, but Mentalist shuts down Merriu on the return with a headshot. And right now, Fnatic, they're starting to dig in. And Guts, they're having a real difficulty in moving them around. And as you can see, there's aggression then up onto the windows. They know that the Ash is potentially down here and just waiting for Light to take his opportunity to move across, but he's aware of that and he does focus in on that window but won't find anybody for the time being. Into the final minute, 4 versus 2.
And this is it ultimately, right? He steps across to go for the reds. Fnatic are likely going to see him from the window moving across, and he's dead. I mean, look at Mag downstairs here playing that reverse angle through the drone hole that we spoke about earlier on. There comes the jump out, and he was waiting for that one. Lusty getting the initial down, also closes out the kill, and we balance things up at 4 apiece. So despite that first half where Guts, you know, had Fnatic's number, Fnatic have bounced back, and Mag stepped away. Gone for a toilet break.
The big difficulty for Guts there was as soon as they lost the man count and were at a disadvantage in terms of manpower, it just allowed Mag to sit in the basement. He didn't have to do anything at that point because they had a man advantage, so they could just play with him downstairs to wait for those nitro denials should the need arise. Without a swing in manpower, he's never going to move from down there. As we saw, he was watching the drone hole for any opportunity. It's a nasty little angle, that one. If anybody's playing in and around that main door externally, you can just clip them a couple of times, take that chip damage and just make the life difficult. Needing to get back into your military ensemble, Des?
I am, look, yeah, I was just like, well, I can't pull it back on in time now that I've seen Mag just sprint out the room. So we'll go for this, look. Look, even Napoleon needs a break sometimes, okay? And apparently the break is when the game's on. Here we go. I feel like something at the Black Parade. My Chemical Romance style. Honestly, except more colours. That's a bit more emo rather than the gold and the red. And
nowhere near as cool.
And nowhere near as cool. Nowhere near as cool as Sherrod Way. Far too cool. But yeah, this is now a balanced game, I think it's fair to say, right? First off, we spoke a lot about the admin takes around how they were being constantly challenged, how it was always a 5 versus 3 for Guts. Second half, you're seeing that struggle on the attack starting to creep back in here a little bit. And this is where I worry for Guts, is that Fnatic will now accelerate themselves ahead and potentially close this out. Again, let's not forget that for Guts, a win today at all 3 points would have put them in serious contention for that top 4 and a chance to go through to playoffs to compete for that second spot at the major. It's worth noting, just so everyone is clear on how this works, you finish in first place, which you've now already seen coming through from Cyclops, you are automatically to the major. You finish in second to 4th place, you go through into the playoffs where there are 3 teams from APAC North, 3 teams from APAC South and 2 from Southeast Asia. The top 2 teams coming out of that little playoff tournament, they also join the first place team from APAC South and APAC North, the second being Cyclops, join them at the major, and that's the spot that you're fighting for right now in that top 4, just in case that wasn't made clear earlier in the day.
Well, it's all about the seeding as well, obviously wanting to fight for the best position possible out of that second, third and fourth, you know, in the hope that it will help you somewhere down the line in that playoff tournament. Now, we move into the action phase of round number 9. We are back underway here. The site will be the top floor. It will be console and meeting office. Now, Lily, very aware of all those windows being opened. It's a bit of a nightmare to approach sometimes this console because of all those opportunities for peaks, and Lily's just going to take himself as long an angle as possible. Of course, the defenders usually a little bit more limited in terms of the magnification on their scopes, and the attackers can sometimes find themselves a little bit of an advantage by taking the longer angles.
Me for getting the button this time, Ace. My bad. The dock on side suggests to me that at least it's going to be that yellow being held up, but on the other side, they're now copying and going for the 0 as well. So maybe learning a lesson or two. Tex somehow doesn't die. I think he was juiced up to the high heavens.
I think he was over here. I think he was about 120 HP, so he's just managed to survive out that explosion that went off next to him. I'm sure his ears will be ringing. What a run out from Mag, though. He doesn't just get one. No. it's a massacre from Mag as he doubles down and finds 2. And that puts Fnatic in the driving seat here of round 9. 5 versus 3 now. And they can just start to sit back. That's the danger for Guts here. They're going to find themselves having to play into Fnatic's angles because they don't need to get aggressive anymore.
You know what you're going to feel a little bit sheepish about there, I imagine, if you're Yura. You've still got a Claymore in the back pocket. You got 2 players playing on Repel. It's the kind of thing you need down. It's one of the main reasons why you bring the utility in the round. There's been a couple of cases of that so far this game that we've touched on. Members dying with crucial bits of utility still in the back pocket. You'll be asking questions.
So it's time for Guts to scramble now. They need to rescue something out of the, let's be honest, the bonfire that this round is turning into for them. It's certainly not a positive start. Mentalist gets the Toxic Babe canister out just in time. It looked like he was about to be peaked by Light there, but managed to just get himself back to safety to activate that one. Now Yura, he's looking to just make himself a little bit of a sneak attack here as he gets himself in through benches and he's looking to move up yellow stairs, but it's not going to matter, Des, because Mag is right there ready. He's got his angle prepared and they force the smoke to move, but Mentalist somehow still manages to keep himself alive. No, he doesn't. Shut down by Light from the window. Lily levels things up with the kill onto Mag, giving yellow stairs almost control, but Lusty, he has something to say about it before being traded out. Stigs finds one onto Light, and once again, Guts are fighting short-handed. 1 versus 2. It's all down to Yura. Tex, Stigs, they've just got to hold on. 15 seconds.
Yeah, that 1 versus 2 and 30 seconds on the clock is always a nerve-wracking one when you're in Yura's shoes here. Still stepping his way forward. The members of Fnatic happy to be patient. They don't need to go aggressive. Yura has got the diffuser mine used. If he can get this stuck down, it could be an incredible spot to be able to clutch the round out. But I think here the call has been, let's go for kills. Let's try and stop. I'm not even going to bother trying. Tex collecting that kill in the dying seconds. Fnatic, 3 rounds on the bounce in this half.
He knows he's not going to get a successful plant down there realistically. He's got Tex and Stigs just absolutely poised, ready to run forward and take him down no matter where he tries to put it down. So does the only thing he can, and that is try to find those kills, but unsuccessfully. So that leaves us in a position now where Fnatic are ahead for the first time, Des. Wouldn't have thought that necessarily we'd be saying that. Guts have played a good game so far, particularly in the first half, but Fnatic, they are really proving that anything Guts can do, they can do better.
They're both just giving each other, I think, massive headaches when you look at it, right? Especially on their defensive halves. They're getting disruptive in the early round. You've got the run-outs, you've got the C4 kills coming in, the plays from below, like the spray downs we saw coming out of Guts. Lots of things working against the attackers that they are being caught off guard by. And yeah, sure, Fnatic only got the 2 rounds on the board. One of them you would wager they absolutely nicked from Guts, that Guts really should have been the winners of. But that's the way that it breaks down sometimes, and it's Guts still struggling to find an answer on the attack.
Back down into Garage then. We saw this one last time around in round 7. Fnatic unsurprisingly won that, given that they have won all 3 of their defences so far. So for them, they're just going to try and rinse and repeat now. They're just going to keep going as they were. It was a good defence from them. They made themselves unpredictable. Mentalist, particularly up in the bathroom, made an absolute nuisance of himself for anybody trying to play into Piano. Got himself a couple of kills and made life difficult for the attackers. They just never really got themselves established with any vertical presence. They managed to use it from the Piano window to clear out the electricals that were holding them off the garage wall. They got the breach open, but that was about as far as they got.
Keen to see the use of this mirror window on the garage door, as Medics highlighted to us earlier as well. Is in a very key position where if you open this sort of thing up, you can quite comfortably shoot it out here and then play for impact denials if you want to. They've got a couple of those on the Echo, which suggests that's exactly why he's sat here. So as soon as that exothermic gets placed down, there are going to be impacts singing towards it. Bearing in mind, 2 exothermics, 2 impacts, they can keep that wall closed if they play their cards right.
If they get this right, they certainly can. We've seen this used quite effectively on East Breach, on Clubhouse particularly, and it certainly is becoming you know, a bit of a new method really of keeping those hard breachers away from getting the reinforced walls open. Now Tex and Lusty, they make a bit of a scramble back downstairs, deciding that a minute is as long as they are going to be able to hold Guts Gaming off for. Yura straight in, the smoke canister there just to try and support, get him inside the building, boots on the ground, that is job done. Tex and Lusty, they've just run all the way back down to the bottom floor, so they've rejoined their teammates on site. It leaves only Mentalist away from site now. He's playing inside of that bathroom again on the mirror. He's got the mirror window to support him, but I would imagine he should come under a bit more pressure this time around, and I'm looking particularly towards Meryu with those nades in hand.
Yes, this key spot, it really stung Fnatic back in the first half. Actually, the bathroom area still being held onto at this time. There is 80 seconds to play with, so Guts aren't exactly out of time yet, but you need to get it cleared out before you start thinking about your potential push forwards. At least on the top floor, that control is entirely with Guts, but a minute and 45 or so to get control of a key area like this, you'll be asking questions and wondering, okay, it needs to be a bit quicker, boys. Let's start looking towards that ground floor now. But that's where you're going to meet the first points of resistance coming out of Fnatic. Light, crouch walking his way in. The mirror has no idea. It's the freest kill of his life, but Light put down to very low HP, being smoked out here. He's going to have to run in fear for his life on about 10 HP remaining at this point. It's still a kill for them. It's still a 5 versus 4 for Guts.
Breach not open yet, and that is a big factor here because, of course, Guts are going to be looking to get towards a plant potentially. But yes, they can get it open. Euro manages to get the kill onto Mag, so that is a big kill because that's the Echo as well. So there's going to be a lot less denial of any potential plant attempt. Stiggs just still holding himself right at the back of cafeteria there. Let's go of a long arm throw, but it's going to be into the wrong location. JJ will have opportunity to get this diffuser down, does so successfully as Euro puts Lusty down at the same time. 2 versus 5 now, and surely a round that is going to be going in the direction of Guts Gaming. There's 30 seconds left for Fnatic to do something here. Tex and Stiggs have it all in hand as Tex finds a kill onto Euro. 20 seconds left to go. Kills are needed, but it's unlikely that they will come as Light shuts down the first. Stiggs manages to get the man on the drop, but 12 seconds, 3 kills. This is looking bad for Fnatic here. Guts more than likely to level things up. Killed from the very back of the map there, right up at the top of the ramp. JJ finds his man. He's got the long angle on the scope. You're never going to win that one.
Nah, and I was talking throughout the round as well and saying for Guts, okay, pace is a concern here. As soon as they got that kill onto Mag down in the basement, I was like, that is it. That was what they needed because he was the only thing standing between them and getting the wall opened up. So although it was slow, once they started getting the pressure assembled that they could challenge onto Mag, and once he was removed, it was like, right, now we know we can make our play for the site. 5 and 5, again, as a reminder, Fnatic only need to get to overtime. They can lose in overtime, but once they make it there, they've guaranteed themselves that spot in the top 4 and get their position at playoffs to challenge for that major spot.
I'm told by Hap, our resident stats and maths man, he loves the numbers. He said that Fnatic actually just needed 4 rounds.
Oh, is that it?
And that would be
the
sufficient.
difference.
Yeah, so Fnatic at this point, I think, any points that they get will obviously, just secure it even further. But I think at this point, they are pretty much locked into one of those playoff spots. So the job is largely done for them now. They're going to be holding on to a bit of top floor here, as would be expected. It's Press and Lobby is the site that we find ourselves with in round 11. Banshee just placed inside of the main door there just to try and prevent any quick plants coming in there. It's more utility that needs to be cleared out by the attackers. Obviously Fnatic use that method themselves. Mag just getting himself straight in through that double door, planting next to the bomb chassis when they attacked onto this site. So something that Fnatic are aware of and looking to counter.
Yeah. And I feel since like Guts have stepped across the plane with that 0, they're kind of getting into the same groove that Fnatic were as well in terms of making sure the flanks are covered, keeping themselves safe on the backside. We had questions earlier on about their use of where those claymores would be in place when they had 2 players playing on the rappel, for example. But at least you're starting to see that structure come together. They've still got a couple more rounds here to, get over the finish line if they want to at least force this through into overtime. Let's forget it's only been 1 round for them in this half to date. But again, they're playing behind things like the Pulse. They've got the Yokais on side once more. They've got the Stiggs playing up for at least a little bit of information. The Legion now not as strong as he once was, helping you with that. Because back in the good old days, you could chuck down a whole bunch of them, see them all the way across the map, and you knew as soon as one disappeared from your screen, someone had stepped into it. Even if you weren't nearby, now you have to be in line of sight with them and within a certain range to be able to get that indicator.
Yeah, I think a pretty fair change to Legion there. Just sort of limits his power of information.
Yeah, someone that slows and damages someone is an intel operator.
Exactly, that was a problem. So now you get the sound cue. If you're nearby, you can hear it, whether you're Legion or not. And obviously, if he's in direct line of sight, he can see that symbol, so he will know at that point. But it just exposes him a lot more to gather that sort of intel now. It's looking pretty good for Guts here. They've got themselves into admin. They were holding Fnatic out of there much more effectively, to be fair, and for longer. So they've got themselves in there. They can start looking to try and get that top floor control. They're going to open the wall there just to allow them to push through without having to go through long desk. If you're wondering why they do that. It's just for the safety of it. You've got techs there waiting to challenge that exact angle onto the vending machines and beyond. So if they breach through that wall, it just gives them that ability to rotate around. Now, I don't think that's maybe what Stig's intended there.
Not too sure. I think maybe he was hoping it would stay at the top of the hatch when someone comes to try and drop through it later into the round. But hey, it looked cool. It's like a slinky going down the stairs.
Light going to be looking for an angle in through main door. JJ is the one with the diffuser in hand at the minute, so they're not just as of yet in a position to get this diffuser down. They have to deal with these remaining two defenders. The JJ has moved to the main door, but it's more about getting meat in control here. I think they've got a man on the balcony. Meryu finds Mag, so that's a good start, and that gives an advantage to Guts Gaming. 35 seconds, JJ is getting the diffuser down now, and I'm not sure how much Fnatic can do about this. Lily finds Tex, that was on the top floor, and that's where you would have been looking for your denial to come from. Stig's on to Meryu, leaves us 4 versus 3, diffuser down.
Stig straight back upstairs as if you get that down as well when there's still 9 alive. They've managed to walk away with murder there. Yura getting another one, and Fnatic will find themselves bleeding members here. 4 versus 1 for Guts. 2 rounds on the bounce potentially coming in. They got the setup just right. Pushed Fnatic back more than enough and almost flawless. Only losing 1 man in the round. A great execute coming out of Guts.
Well, how about that? The best that Fnatic can hope for now will be an overtime win, as they have found themselves facing down a match point. Guts have got themselves onto 6 and guaranteed themselves as an absolute minimum an extra 3 rounds here to get the job done, but they're not going to want it to go that far. They're going to try and shut it down here and now. They're going to be attacking to Archives and Tellers. I don't think, bear with me a second, I will have a look back. We haven't seen them attack onto that site yet. It's the first time that Fnatic have brought this along defensively. I think, given what I saw in the last round, where Guts were able to establish themselves in admin quite quickly, Fnatic are going to have to do things differently here. And realistically, it shouldn't be the case. They should have been having a similar hold last time around for the top floor, and that's why we saw the diffuser go down as quickly as it did, because they didn't hold on to that top floor for long enough. So it's going to be the same thing here. Guts are going to try and get themselves established in admin. Fnatic, they have to do things differently now.
They are indeed. So let's see how it plays out. Again, playing behind those C4s, 3 of them to be precise, rather than the 2 that Guts brought along on their defense of the same site. And I just love how between the 2 you're seeing that difference, right? The mirror we spoke about in the first half, Guts brought the Goyo instead and had that as their setup, whereas here is going to be the mirror setup. So same intent, just very slight differences in how the teams are doing things. And I love seeing that creativity, the difference between them and how it can have ever so slight minor impacts or can spiral into being an absolutely massive one later into the round, because that mirror window probably a little bit harder to nade out, for example, through the drone hole than a Goyo shield would be.
Tech supplying ADSs, so that just signals how deep they are potentially going to play. They might actually play a man inside of admin, as we see the mirror going in there as well. Lusty, he's going to hold on to that corner for as long as possible. It was always feasible that the ADSs might have been placed there just to prevent any throwables coming in to affect copy room, for example. Just those sort of deep throws, they would have picked them up as they sailed past. But it's not the case. We're going to have the mirror playing right on top of that location. So it really is to just stop the nades of Meryu raining in there and clearing out. Obviously, that's 1 flashbang gone. This is important utility to watch now. So they've only got 2 flashbangs to burn out 2 ADSs, which would then allow the nades to come in. They need to recognise that position in the corner, and they need to recognise the danger of the nitro. How's about that for quick reactions from Yura? Sees the nitro on the Sam cam, gets off in time to get out of the way of it, but also picks up an opener onto Stigs.
I'm really confused because I'm pretty sure a Claymore went off at the exact same time he jumped out. So I don't know how Yura walked away with the kill, because it came through as a gun icon kill, unless it was his Claymore that got it. And I don't know, something happened there. Either way, he was guaranteed to be dead on that jump out. Love to see it. And I imagine the fear you get as you look through the cam, see the guy below in the C4 come singing up, and you think, oh crap, I'm dead if I stay here. You have to back away. Keeps himself alive though, and Fnatic at least now find themselves down 1.
I'm wondering if he maybe got the kill before the body interacted with the Claymore. He actually shot him
or the very brief delay you get with the Claymore.
Yeah, that's it. There's about half-second trigger if the kills have come in at that point. It'll be interesting to watch back. Mag gets the kill onto Meryu to level things up 4 versus 4. Fnatic still fighting in this one. They're certainly not out of it yet. They were on the back foot slightly, but they really are fighting right now as Mentalist managed to get the kill onto JJ, and there's a good chance that's put the diffuser down on the ground as well. it looks like that will be the case. Now, Euro deploys another SAM cam on the spiral stairs, just trying to gather some information there. The hatch has been dropped, so we've got Fnatic on the defence, just moving back to tell us, but completely caught out, Des. Light on the rotate, manages to find two. Lusty and Tex just not looking over towards Visa Stairs at all, and it is as easy as kiss, kiss, bang for Light.
For the whole of Guts, apparently a 4 versus 3 down to a 1 versus 3. That's how you give a round and potentially the game away. Fnatic losing out to Guts, probably a game that very few predicted, but it's about to become reality unless Mag can do something special. He cannot. Guts will dismantle Fnatic, but Fnatic have still secured that spot in the top 4.
Guts fighting hard for their opportunity though, securing a full 3 points there, and boy have they come alive in the last couple of weeks. I picked them out in my predictions last week. I didn't. This week, Des, I went for Fnatic. My picks are in tatters.
Mate, what can I say? Today has been a rough day for you. Is that tough?
It's because I had